Come to the kitchen cleaning tutorial. As you can see, we've got all of the cleaning materials here that are required throughout the house. This is a typical kind of kitchen that you will be expected to clean. I'll just show you what kind of cleaning materials are required. Often you get like a general kitchen cleaner like Mr. Muscle or Flash or Cif. They tend to be quite strong and quite good at getting rid of tough stains and grease. But if you're looking for something softer, and a lot of customers like you to clean with softer materials, just general washing up liquid is perfect for that kind of thing, especially if you're cleaning on wood or cleaning on granite or other surfaces that don't really need any tough kind of cleaning equipment like this. Like Cillit Bang, for example, is very, very strong. So it's perfect on a microwave or an oven or a hob top. Perfect to get rid of stains, but not so good on delicate surfaces. So if I fill up the sink with these cleaning materials, I'm just going to use some very liquid like that, just a small amount. You don't need big kind of doses of these cleaning materials. Usually I find for 5 litres of water you need about 2 capfuls of Flash, or just like a little squirt of washing up liquid, and that is perfect. But the spray, as I said, is good for spot cleaning. So get a sink full like this. In terms of cloths, for kitchens, initially you want a general kind of cleaning cloth. Most customers have a selection of these and ask for these types of cloths if you're not looking, if you're looking to wipe the surfaces, wipe the tiles. I find that in order to dry surfaces that are initially quite difficult in terms of making sure that they look clean, it's good to use either a microfiber cloth or a tea towel. Obviously ask the customer if you're able to use one of their tea towels for cleaning before you go ahead and do that. But what I find is that when you're cleaning a hob, for example, and I'll walk over to the hob now to demonstrate what kind of work needs to be done on something like a hob. These cloths are perfect for that kind of cleaning. So if we use Cillit Bang for that demonstration, sometimes a scourer is good, but you've got to be very careful with a scourer because you can risk scratching certain kitchen equipment, but it is very good if you have very tough stains. And I'll show you what I mean by demonstrating to you what needs to be done on a hob like this. So we've got 8 different hob gas areas on here, so you take these off like this. Often these don't need cleaning. I mean, they're quite greasy, and you can do it if there's plenty of time in a kitchen clean, but I tend to leave them because the most important thing is to clean around these gas cookers to make sure that they're looking good. So if you look like this, gas hob like this, I just put a spot cleaner on there, and that is very good at getting rid of the worst of the stains around a hob. So if you put some elbow grease in like that, often you can get rid of these stains very well, and you don't need a scourer if you put the elbow grease in. I find scourers are really a last resort, and always ask the customer whether a scourer is appropriate for any kind of job. But as you can see, if you put in the effort, and this is the sort of pace that it really is required if you want to get a kitchen done in kitchen surfaces done in about 15 minutes, which is what we would expect in a house of this sort of size. That is perfect. Sometimes you can clean the tops like this. They often have marks on. If you want a real deeper clean, you can take these off and clean in behind here. But often I find within the time that's given for a cleaning job, that takes a bit of extra time that really will delay you starting other jobs. So as you can see, that looks reasonably clean, and a lot of people would just leave it like that. But I think a very good technique is just to dry it off a bit, and it's the same with every wet surface that you clean. It's quite good to dry it off because it's easier to get rid of the remaining crumbs and kitchen grease that is on there, so it dries appropriately, so it looks like it's shiny and finished to a good standard for the customer. Now, I've showed you what needs to be done on the hob, but there's also other aspects of hob and oven cleaning. There's also the extractor fan, and often they have a rooftop like this. It's very important to make sure that this is clean from all aspects of grease. Now, some people forget this, and in some houses this tends to be quite unclean. Now, if it is unclean, try and find quite a strong cleaner to get, and always go back to the hot water that we filled up in the sink earlier to get rid of the grease on this. And it's the same with the extractor fan. That tends to be quite greasy, and often people don't get around to cleaning those things. So if you look at this, for example, quite greasy. And that really requires quite a lot of scrubbing. In the sink, I would recommend, and you simply unclip these on extractor fans and get rid of the worst of the grease. It's often quite a difficult job. So if your customer would like to get rid of grease on there, you're looking at spending a bit of extra time in the kitchen. Ovens are also an extra job. Ovens are probably the most difficult job in a kitchen. As you can see in this oven, that's a typical oven that requires quite a bit of effort. Most ovens are like this because it's quite a difficult job, and people don't get around to doing it because the instinct is to keep surfaces clean and appliances clean, but ovens get daily use often, and people run out of time, which, you know, it's not a problem really because people are very busy. But if they ask you to do ovens, be careful. Always tell them that to do an oven you require a bit of extra time, and always put newspaper down underneath because oven cleaner is very, very toxic. So it could damage things, including yourself and the kitchen. So always put newspaper down underneath here to protect the floor, to protect other appliances. Take all the pans out and give them a good clean with the scourer and some washing up liquid to make sure that they're clean. Take these grills out, give them a good clean. They need to be silver. like the original colour is, if you can do that. Sometimes it's very tricky to do that, which is why I suggest that cleaning is required to do that. And what you're looking to do, I just get the oven cleaner and show you something like Oven Pride can be used. Or a Mr. Muscle oven cleaner, a lot of people have that, and what you require is to put some spray on this area of the oven, and you have to leave it for at least an hour, but sometimes more if the job is particularly difficult, and leave it on there. Always wear gloves when cleaning an oven and try and protect yourself where you've got skin exposed, and once you've left it there and come back about an hour later, you've got to scrub it with a scourer like this, all along the bottom, all along the sides, and even my dog's helping. I don't recommend getting dogs involved in this sort of thing, but you've always got to be very careful about hazards when cleaning something like this. Oven Pride or Mr. Muscle oven is perfect for this sort of thing, but you've got to scrub like this. I can see a bit of elbow grease like this on the front. Gets rid of a lot of the dirt, and then it's the same principle with the hob. After it, make sure all of the soap is gone. And clean it off to give it a good shine, to make sure any remaining grease is gone. With the oven, because ovens tend to be quite greasy, quite dirty, you've got to keep going back to your hot water over there, rinsing your cloth into the water. You may have to empty your water again and again, just to get rid of all of this excess grease that's in the oven, and to make sure it's clean. Often in ovens there's a grill that also needs doing, which is a bit smaller. This one's not as bad actually, and you can tell that has been cleaned more comprehensively. So if I give you a demonstration, this oven should look more like this, and less like that. So that's your example really of different types of ovens and how clean and unclean they are. Now we've done ovens, we could move on to microwaves. Microwaves aren't as tricky. A lot of people would just give them a quick wipe on the front, which you can do if the microwave's not that clean. But I recommend, because microwaves are used quite often, I recommend taking something like here, for example, where people cook. There's a bit of grease on there, so that would need cleaning off. Try not to use a scourer on this one because it's glass, but a cloth. Sometimes it's difficult just to wipe. Look, I've wiped there, and a lot of people would think, oh, it's clean now, but it's not, because I've just wiped. What you need to do is you need to take it over to the water, keep rinsing this out, make sure that there's plenty of cleaning fluid on there, and give it a really good scrub. That there is much cleaner now, and something like Till It Bang is perfect for microwaves, and the sides here, round into the corners, up there, into the section in the middle, round the sides. Sometimes people forget the top. The top is also quite important because people can often put soups or something like that in a microwave, and they come across it. As you can see, look, that's the top of the microwave, and that's not been done for a couple of weeks or so. So it shows you how important it is to clean something like a microwave. Once that's done, give it a good dry. Same principles before with a microfiber cloth like this if they've got one, or a tea towel if there's nothing else. Maybe even kitchen towel would work well. But put that back in, and that's all clean now. There's also the appliances to think about in kitchens. Dishwashers you won't have to fuss about too much really at all, but fridges sometimes people expect you to clean, often the front of them, because people put their hands like this all over the fridge, and it can become quite greasy, especially around where food is. And at the top here can become quite greasy, and the handles, and sometimes they'll expect you to clean off the top like this. As you can see, I just run my finger along the top of the fridge, and there's quite a lot of dirt, which is to be expected in the kitchen because it's a very well-used room, and it's often an area where people eat. But be careful about doing the top, because people often leave their things on there like trays, and that's a bit of an extra job that doesn't necessarily need to be done. Only if you've got time, do the top of the kitchen. So this is like a typical fridge, how people would leave it. It's generally quite, from my experience, fridges tend to be quite clean because people are pretty good at cleaning up where they're storing their food. But if people ask you to do their fridge, you'd be expected to take all of the, be careful with things because there's glass, but people would be expected to take all of these things out and clean the glass there, look. Because as you can see, a lot of this is quite dirty. And really would require the same principles before with your hot water, with your cleaning fluid. Actually for a fridge I wouldn't recommend Till It Bang because it's a bit strong, especially when you're storing food. I don't think it's a good idea to do that. So something like Mr. Muscle Kitchen, you can always check on cleaning products how strong they are, because it will display an irritant sign here that has a cross on. So here it says irritant. That shows that there's quite a lot of bleach in the product. So be careful whenever it has an X on there, and if you're unsure, ask the customer whether it's appropriate. But something like this is perfect in a kitchen. Go back to the hot water and make sure that's all clean. But generally, that is all that is required with appliances. Now we move on to the more simple aspects of cleaning kitchens. Surface cleaning. As you can see here, it's all quite dirty, and often customers will leave their things around. Now, a quick way of cleaning it is just to go like that and wipe off all the crumbs. Wipe off around just to make it look a bit cleaner. Wipe up there. Right, that'll do the job. Just wipe off. Right, that's a lot cleaner, and then move on to the next job. But that's not what our customers are looking for when you're cleaning their kitchen surfaces. This needs to be moved. The chopping board, got lots of germs on, lots of bacteria. Take it over to your sink, give it a soak, leave it there for a while while you're doing this. This particular surface is a granite work surface, so it really requires a special cleaner. It's the same with stainless steel and other kitchen surfaces. Often there's wood, which also requires often special cleaners. But if you're ever in doubt about what kind of cleaner you should use on a kitchen surface, just use a small amount of washing up liquid, because washing up liquid is very good at all types of surfaces. But be very careful about the strength of the material you're using. So if I demonstrate here what would need to be done, this should make it easier for you when you first clean a kitchen. So toasters are particularly bad. That all needs to be moved out. Look in the bread bin, look how clean it is. Often that needs to be cleaned properly. The top of the bread bin, move out the bread bin, clean up all behind. So basically it's just about moving all the items off and moving on behind. onto the tiles and seeing if they're all clean, particularly around the hob. When people are cooking, often you can get splashbacks onto the tiles. And I'll just demonstrate here. If I'm cleaning like this will get rid of most of the grease. But as you can see, I've left quite a few bits of dirt on here while I've been wiping. So that doesn't look clean. If I'm looking at it now, I know I've just cleaned it, but it looks a bit dirty to me. So this is why a dry cloth is fantastic, because you can come onto here and get rid of all of the residue and the dirt that I just wiped onto there. Microfiber cloths are probably one of the best cleaning materials I've used since I've been cleaning in houses. Saves so much time, and I think it's an excellent resource. So with the toaster, it's quite self-explanatory really. Clean off all of the top, clean off the sides, put it back together. I'm not going to clean it comprehensively now because we're running out of time, but you can see what I mean by that. This all needs to be moved out, all different cleaning, different cooking materials like oils and salt and pepper and things, and to get out all of the crumbs that are on the surface. You should be aiming for no crumbs at all to be on the surface, from my experience. On every kitchen surface you need to do this, around the sink, on islands, people often have islands in their kitchens, around the tea and coffee area is particularly bad. I recommend cleaning off the kettle a bit, cleaning off this mark for example. So, as you can see, I've not made much progress there, so you've got to keep going back to your water, making sure you've got this clean. Put some cleaning fluid on it if required, just to make sure that you're doing a good job and really give things a really good clean like this. There, I got rid of it now, and it just required a bit of elbow grease. Kitchens can be quite difficult like that, but our customers are very happy when they get the bottom of the kettle looking more like that than how it was before. Tea and coffee areas all need to be cleaned up, all need to get in and around here. If wires are in the way, you can always unplug them, get in behind here, clean it all out. Often customers will leave things around the sink, like they're washing up or something, and always make sure that that's cleaned up. Just because you think it's their washing and they should do it doesn't mean it should be left. But always ask them if you want them, if they want you to do the washing up. But usually I assume that they do, and I just wash it up with fairy liquid, leave it on their draining board. In this kitchen, the draining board is on this side by the plug. Often they'll have a thing to put plates on, but not all customers do have that. So for something like this, like a vase, I'd wash all of this dirt off here with my water and leave it like that, so it can dry effectively. And always remember the bin as well. Bins aren't a very nice job, but they get very dirty. All on the top, people could just clean the top thinking it's clean, but all the sides need to be done, and the tiles where the bin has been, and all the wall needs to be cleaned off. So if we look inside the bin like this, all of this can get quite dirty in there, and if it's full like this, a lot of customers like you to empty it. Not all of them do, because some of them are very nice and don't really expect us to do that kind of work. But some customers do like us to do that. So you can always make sure that is fine. But one of the most important jobs I found when doing people's kitchens is the kitchen cupboards, especially when they're white like this, because people often forget them. People do the surfaces, they're often quite clean, and as you can see on this island here, the kitchen surface is reasonably clean. It doesn't require a lot of effort to clean that, but if you get down onto the floor like this, that should really help you locate where the dirt is on these kitchen cupboards. Often on horizontal surfaces like this, you find quite a bit of dirt, particularly around areas where people are cooking. They often drip sauces all over here, and particularly around handles where people put their hands. And it's the same principle with all of the kitchen cupboards. Sometimes it's a good idea to clean the bottom of things here. I've just located more dirt there as I've moved along, especially if people have pets, because pets often come into the kitchen quite a lot. So all of the bottoms need to be done, and the same principle with the surfaces, dry it off properly so all of the dirt is gone. And it's not just the dirt, why drying is important. If you wipe things with a cloth like this, which is already quite dirty, onto white surfaces, that'll dry, and it'll leave a bit of a mucky mark and a drip going down like this. Or it'll leave a bit of lime scale on the surfaces, so that's never a good look for our customers. So just dry all of those off. And it's the same with basically everything that I've showed you today. The only other thing in kitchens is to make sure everything else is looking decent. And the thing I find is that don't just use this cloth because it's a kitchen. For things like this, you need to find a duster, find some polish, make sure all of the horizontal surfaces are done where dust collects, make sure all of the sides are done. This is a good example of where you need to dust appropriately. A very nice white window that obviously needs a bit of attention. You can see the dust here. Dust that all off properly. Always, with dusting, start from your top down. So start with the top here. Mainly horizontal surfaces need to be done. Dust all this off. Move the kitchen candles like that, get in behind. Dust all the rims and the skirting boards. They often need doing, like that. Dust all that off. And look for other areas that also need doing. Sometimes people have seating areas in kitchens and fireplaces that need dusting off. So if you find, often people have an item like this by a fireplace, but not always, and you can just tidy that up a bit. And make sure rubbish is tidied up a bit. So for example, if you're cleaning a house and a tennis board in the middle of the kitchen, you'd expect to put that where it should be in that dog basket over there. So just rub all this off. Sometimes they'd like you to clean the ashtray, but not very often. That's always an extra. I haven't cleaned many ashtrays in my time, but I have done on rare occasions. But it's the same with cleaning bedrooms or lounges. Often there's a table in a kitchen, sometimes there's a kitchen diner. Never use the cloth you've used for the kitchen surfaces with the dining table, because it's a completely different thing. Try and find some furniture polish like this with a general duster and rub it all in properly down the grooves of the wood so there's no dust. Also look at the bottom of tables. Down here, for example, things can get quite dusty at the bottom, and it's particularly the case with side tables and dining tables, so that all needs to be cleaned off. And the only other thing then is like bookcases. It's the same with lounges and bedrooms. They all need to be cleaned off, where people store things in kitchens. And then, after you've done all that, make sure you clear everything away.